I have lived through war. I have seen famine. I have buried people I loved. But the most terrifying thing I ever experienced in my life began with 3 knocks on a mud wall. Knock, knock, knock. And then a voice, calm, deep, too familiar. It was the prince calling the name of my uncle. By morning, my uncle was dead. That was when I understood the fear that had been swallowing our village. I grew up in Odu, a farming village in West Africa. Odu was not big, not small, just enough people that you knew every face, every family. We rose with the sun. We fetched water in clay pots from the river. We farmed yam, maize, cassava. Evenings were for firelight, stories, drums, and laughter. But over all of us was the palace where Prince Aid lived. He was the only son of the old king. His father was too weak to rule, so Aid behaved like the king already. And Aid was cruel. I once saw him take a goat from a poor widow, the only animal she owned, just because he wanted meat that night. He forced farmers to give up their best harvests. He beat a boy so badly for dropping a calabash that the child never walked straight again. Nobody dared challenge him. He had God's power and the blood of royalty. And in our land, to curse the prince was to curse yourself. Still, we whispered. Everyone hated him. Everyone feared him. The first death didn't feel connected to him at all. It was Amoki, a young mother. She was healthy, laughing in the market one evening, and by morning she was dead on her mat, a baby crying beside her. People said it was the gods, or bad luck, or sickness we couldn't see. But then it happened again. A hunter named Dada, strong as a tree. He was fine one day, found dead the next. Then a palace guard. A man in his prime, no sickness, no injury, gone. Then a farmer, then a weaver. Every time it was the same. Alive and strong one day, dead without explanation the next. And always, their families whispered the same story. The night before, we heard 3 knocks on the wall, slow, heavy. And then, we heard a voice. It was Prince Aid. He called their name. I didn't believe it. How could the prince be everywhere at night? Why would he knock instead of just killing openly like he usually did? But then one rainy night, I heard it myself. It was at our neighbor Baba Ola's hut. I couldn't sleep. The rain was pouring, the wind blowing through the cracks in the roof. Then knock, knock, knock. Even through the storm, it was clear. Then the voice, calm, familiar. Ola, Ola. I froze on my mat. My heart beat so loudly I thought my chest would burst. The next morning, Baba Ola was dead. From that night, I stopped doubting. After that, life in Odu changed. Nobody sat outside after dark. Children were rushed indoors before sunset. The markets grew quieter. Even the drummers stopped playing at night. Every week, another person died. And every time, their family swore they had heard the same thing. 3 knocks, the prince's voice, death by morning. But here is the strangest part. While we grew weaker and thinner, Prince Aid seemed to grow stronger. His skin glowed, his eyes shone, his body looked harder, younger, more alive. People whispered, "He is feeding on us." It happened when my uncle Oba was visiting. He was a loud, joyful man who told stories by firelight. That night, we ate roasted maize and laughed until the rain started. Then we heard it. Knock, knock, knock. The wall shook with each sound. Then came the voice. Oba, Oba. The fire died in my uncle's eyes. My father grabbed my arm so tightly it hurt. My mother covered her face with both hands. The knocking stopped. The voice faded. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. We stayed frozen until dawn. And in the morning, Oba was dead, eyes open, mouth slightly open, like something had stolen the last word from his throat. That was the final straw. The elders called a meeting under the great Iroko tree. I was too young to sit among them, but I hid behind the roots to listen. For hours they argued. Some said it was the gods testing us. Some said we must abandon the village, but most agreed. It is him, the prince. His wickedness is killing us. Finally, the oldest elder spoke. His voice cracked but carried power. We must bury him before he buries us all. That evening, the drums beat slow and heavy. The men of the village stormed the palace. Prince Aid didn't expect it. They dragged him out, kicking and spitting. He screamed, "I never left this palace. You lie, you fools." But nobody listened. Too many had heard his voice. Too many had buried their dead. For the first time, the prince looked powerless. They tied him with ropes and carried him to the forest's edge. I followed, though my mother begged me not to. They dug a deep pit. The earth was wet, soft, and dark. When they pushed Aid inside, he screamed like a child. He clawed at the mud walls. His fingernails tore, blood mixing with the rain. He begged, he cried, he cursed us. Then the shovels began, one another and another. The dirt hit his body with dull thuds. He coughed, he screamed, he shouted names, calling on gods and spirits, swearing revenge. The villagers kept shoveling. Soon, only his head was above the earth. His eyes were wild, his teeth bared. And then finally, dirt covered his face. His screams turned to muffled sounds. Then silence. The knocking stopped after that. Nobody else died in their sleep. But peace never really came back. The ground where Aid was buried never hardened. Even in the dry season, it stayed soft, as if it remembered him. Hunters swore that if you passed by at night, you could hear scratching under the earth. And me, I grew older, left Odu, built a new life. But I never left the sound behind. Some nights, when the wind hits my wall just right, I still hear it. Knock, 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 and then a voice, low, familiar, too close, calling my name.
If you love African folktales, scary stories, and village legends, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more.